Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we have another collaboration beer to look at, and this is one that I think will be really quite interesting. This particular beer is half Japanese, half Chinese, and I've tried beers from both of the breweries involved here before. So I would say though that I am a lot more experienced with the Japanese brewery than I am with the Chinese brewery in fact. But for the Japanese side of things, we're going to go to Ise in Mie Prefecture here in the Kansai region of Japan, and we're having a taste of another beer from Ise Kadoya Brewery. This one is called the Beer Bring Us Together New England IPA. As the name tells you, it's a New England IPA. It comes in at 7% ABV, and it is a collaboration with NBeer, who are from Beijing over in China. Now, I have tried and reviewed an NBeer beer for you before. That was the Beijing Goza Modern, or Modern Beijing Goza. I forget exactly how the name went with that one, but that was a really kind of interesting beer. That one was given to me by a good friend, Hung Wei, who brought me back 2 cans of Chinese beer from when he went home to Beijing. But I haven't been able to publish that video yet, and the main reason for that is that I need Hung Wei to kind of sit down with me and help me out with the Chinese characters for the video tags and things like that, although I'm not sure how useful that's going to be, because obviously YouTube is banned in China because of the Great Chinese Firewall and stuff like this, but they do have their own one called Yumi and things like that, which is kind of interesting. There's a few others that Hung Wei's told me about as well, but definitely cool to run into this brewery once again. I will make sure and get the other beer review from these guys published at some point fairly soon, because that one's been in my file for a little while, but I've not reviewed too many beers from the Chinese mainland. I've had a collaboration with the Celt Brewery from Wales. That was done by Boxing Cat, who come from Shanghai, and the other beer that I reviewed that has published, that was Fengshui Jingyang, who are also a Beijing brewery, and you know, it was kind of interesting. But from what I gather, the mainland Chinese beer scene is starting to take off a little bit, but they're still at the stage where most of the breweries are brew pubs, and they're not really kind of canning and bottling their beers yet really. The same kind of thing was going on in South Korea a lot of the time I found, but hopefully that changes over the next little while. I have encountered some other Chinese breweries when I've been at beer festivals in Europe and things like that, so hopefully we start to see more beer from the Chinese mainland. I've heard there's some really quite interesting things going on, and maybe I can get over there and film some out and about beer reviews for you as well. But Ise Kadoya, as I say, from Japan, this is a brewery that I know really well. These guys try a lot of different styles, and pretty much, you know, pick a style from these guys you enjoy and you will get a very good quality beer. These guys are one of the best craft breweries in Japan in my opinion. But yeah, let's get on and actually get on with the review then, talking a little bit about the breweries. So as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the breweries before we open up the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Ise Kadoya, and my future reviews that will appear from NBeer. Hopefully I can add some more Chinese beers to the channel fairly regularly. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Japanese beers that I've reviewed for you, and I will create one for the Chinese beers. Like I say, hopefully that can be added to fairly regularly, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to my brewery notes then, to tell you a little bit about both the breweries here. We'll kick off with Ise Kadoya, since they are the home brewery in this case. So Ise Kadoya, as I've told you before, are from Ise City in Mie Prefecture in the Kansai region of Japan. And this city, of course, is known as being the holy city of the Shinto religion, and it's home to over 200 different Shinto shrines, notably the Ise Grand Shrine, which is, I've heard, definitely worth a visit, and hopefully I can go up and visit it at some point. But apparently the city receives over 5 million visitors per year, but it's a very small town in Japanese terms of only 130,000 people actually. So yeah, very small city when you consider the other ones that are around in Japan. But on to the brewery itself. The brewery was founded back in 1997, and it's owned by Narihiro Suzuki, who had previously studied microbiology at university. So he runs the company with his wife Chika Suzuki, who does a lot of work in the company's restaurants. And the roots of the Suzuki's family business go back to the year 1575, and this was when his family started the Kadoya Cafe with the aim of selling the Kinakomachi tea to the Ise pilgrims. Of course, matcha tea is you know, pretty damn famous here in Japan. But the full company name is the Ise Kadoya, and apparently this is one of the longest running companies that are still going in Japan. So in the early days, the company struggled when the G-Biru boom kind of fell flat, and Narihiro took a gamble and started producing Shinto beers as a sort of souvenir, and this was what really kept the company going through the difficult years. And it was only quite recently in 2010, or well, I suppose 10 years ago now, that the Ise Kadoya beers started to perform better than the special Shinto beers that they were producing. So the brewmaster at the brewery is Masakazu Nakanishi, who joined the company in 1997 after working an office job. He'd studied fermentation science during his high school in his agriculture classes, and the brewery apparently were looking at a brewer just when his work contract finished, so it was really a kind of perfect fit for them. But he later became a brewmaster in 1999, and another instrumental man at the brewery is Yoshihiro Matsuoka, who's the restaurant manager, and he's also the label designer as well, and he's known as the walking beer dictionary because apparently he just has a ridiculous knowledge of all things craft beer. But all the labels that you'll find on the Ise Kadoya beers are designed by him. But the brewery import various hops and malts from across the world. They use water from the local Miyagawa River, and this is filtered through charcoal filters to make it ready for the beer, and they're apparently very thorough in their quality control, and they've won many different awards for their beers to date. And the brewery own 2 restaurants. This is the Biyagura, which is the on-site restaurant at the brewery, and they've also got the Ise Kadoya Kaikumaiten as well. But they've got a core range of beers, various seasonal beers as well. You've seen me review one of their Christmas beers just a few videos back. They also produce cider, soy sauce, tamari, miso paste, and also the kinako machi tea, my apologies. I keep pronouncing that wrong, but in 2018 they opened up their new brewery, and there is a tap room up there as well, and hopefully I can get out there and visit that at some point fairly soon. I'd love to go up and visit the Ise Kadoya tap room. They've actually got this very kind of, it's almost an American style brewery they have these days actually. There's a few breweries like that around Japan that I would really quite like to go and visit, but Ise Kadoya and Shiga Kogen are probably top of the list. Fujizakura would also be a very cool one, and then you've got Beard Beer too. There's lots of nice little brewery places around Japan that are definitely worth trying out. So yeah, that's all you really need to know about Ise Kadoya. Of course, one of the more prolific craft breweries that you're going to find in Japan. I think at the moment they've produced around 300 different types of beer as of, this will be December 2019 when I'm filming this review for you. It'll probably appear in January though, but you know, one of the best breweries in Japan at the moment in my opinion. If you want to learn more about these guys, check out the brewery website in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and of course you can check out the Rate Beer and Untappd profiles for all the different beers that they've done. So yeah, on to the Chinese side of things then, NBeer. So as I told you before, the NBeer Brewery are based in Beijing, and they were founded back in 2013, and these guys are one of the earliest craft breweries in mainland China. So the brewery was founded by Yin Hai and Jin Qing. I couldn't find it, I'm not sure if that is just a kind of first name or the second name, but these were the 2 names I found in the newspaper article, and the 2 used to meet regularly and just try out lots of different beers together. But Yin Hai had previously worked in the semiconductor industry, while Jin Qing was a beer collector, and he also designed the packaging for various different breweries around China, and I think in different places around the world as well. But Jin Qing has also written a book about the different styles of beer, and apparently he's collected around 8,000 bottles of beer as part of his collection, and these are displayed in the different bars that the brewery have. So Yin Hai is in charge of the production, and he was a home brewer, and Jin Qing encouraged him to quit his job in the semiconductor industry and move to work with him in the beer industry, which they've done quite successfully since. But the brewery became fully licensed in 2017, and they're starting to look at exporting their beers at the moment as well, and they're doing a number of collaborations at the moment just to kind of build ties, and I guess this is another one that you know, where that's starting to begin. But as of December 2019, when I'm filming this review for you, they've produced around 110 different types of beer, and they currently have 3 bars in Beijing. This is in the Jiqing district, Daqing, and the Haidian, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Chinese is very difficult to pronounce, so if you are Chinese, I apologise for butchering your language. And they've also got bars in another 3 cities as well. This is in Zhangzhou, one in Fuzhou, one in Fujian province, and then one in Shenzhen in Guangdong province as well. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Like yeah, both the Zhangzhou and the Fuzhou bars are in Fujian province, and then they have the one in Shenzhen in Guangdong province as well, actually. So yeah, that's all the information I was really able to find out about NBeer. A big thank you, of course, to Hung Wei for helping me find that information. He found some Chinese newspaper articles and told me about the brewery and things so that I could write these notes. So a big shout out to him in this video as well for helping with those notes back when I filmed the first video. So yeah, that's all you need to know about NBeer. If you want to learn more, you can check out the brewery website. I'll have a look and see what social media these guys actually have, because obviously, you know, China has the Great Firewall, as I mentioned earlier, so there's not really Facebook or Instagram and things like that. They've got their own thing, so I'll just see what I can find in terms of social media for this brewery. But of course, if you want to learn about more beers and stuff from these guys, you can check out the Rate Beer page and the Untappd as well, and you'll find details of all the different things that they've done. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this beer then. So yeah, there wasn't too much information available on this one when I searched it on Untappd and things like that. I looked at Koji's page. This beer was bought at liquor shop Asahiya in Tashibashi Maitsu, Osaka once again, so check out the link to their Facebook page in the description below. But even on Koji's Facebook page that he does, he usually puts a lot of information about the beers, and it doesn't actually say kind of too much about it. I mean, it tells you a little bit about the NBeer Brewery on the side, which we've covered already. It says they were founded back in 2013 and things, but it doesn't tell you very much specifically about this beer itself. So yeah, interesting one. But there you can see the symbols of both of the breweries there. There is Ise Kadoya, which is also on this lovely bright green bottle cap, and there you can see NBeer on the Chinese side of things. So yeah, it's the name of this one, Beer Bring Us Together New England IPA. I'm not sure if that's a reference just to the fact that it's you know, it is a collaboration. But I wonder if it's also a little bit of a reference to the fact that, you know, Japan and China historically have not gotten on very well. So yeah, maybe it's to do with that, trying to build relations and stuff. So maybe it's like a double meaning. I don't know. I'm speculating with that. But like I said, this one is a 7% New England IPA, a brewery that I know very well, and a Chinese brewery that I was quite impressed with when I tried the last beer from them. So yeah, let's get this guy out then and we'll get on with the tasting. This is a 330ml bottle. We'll just check that there's a little bit of haze going through it, because it has been in the fridge for a day or two. But yeah, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting. I'm really curious to see how this one turns out actually. If you do happen to be watching from mainland China, of course, if you're using a VPN or whatever, do let me know some other Chinese breweries that I should be checking out, because I know that there are some really good ones. I had a very good experience with the Hong Kong craft beers actually, so that was pretty good. So yeah, as you can see with this beer, it's poured a really nice kind of bright. That one's really very hazy. Oh, there's my little man going. It sounds. Yeah, the missus is gone, it's okay. You'll just be hungry. But yeah, as you can see with this beer, it's poured a really lovely, bright, kind of yellowy, hazy colour, this one. This is one of the brighter New England IPAs that I've come across actually recently, and it's definitely one of the more kind of hazy ones too, but it's almost at the point of being very sort of gloopy, like hop soup, basically. My Swedish friend Callie always used to love calling beer barley soup, but the New England IPAs, I guess, are more like oat soup or wheat soup or something like that. But that, in terms of appearance, that's a beautiful looking IPA. That's a very, very pretty New England IPA. The head on this one was about a half finger. It's starting to fade away a little bit, but I would say that it's a perfect white. It's a little bit creamy around the edges, right enough, but in the very centre of the glass, it is a perfect white colour. There's one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of the head there. But overall, it looks pretty nice, and you know, pretty much exactly what you would expect from a New England IPA and things like this. So yeah, if I stick my fingers behind the glass, there you can see that's the level of haze that you have from this particular beer. So let's have a look at the aroma then and just see how we get on. Oh yeah. In terms of its aroma actually, this one almost comes across as being like quite like a fruit IPA. Now, it did say that on Koji's thing that they were talking about tofu in the little description of this beer, and they said that something about the aroma of this beer was very much like tofu. So I'm not sure if they've added some tofu into this or something, but there is something about the aroma of this beer that really kind of gives you that. But you know, it's in terms of the malt base. Then we'll talk about the malts and any potential adjuncts that might be in here, because quite a lot of breweries, of course, add the you know, they add different, you know, they add like dextrose and lactose sugars and things like that to some of these New England IPAs. So for this beer, it really does smell like some of these different kind of tofu things that you get. I have to admit, I'm not a great fan of tofu. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't really taste very much. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it really doesn't taste of all that much actually. But you know, they seem to love it in Asia. Never quite understood that, but you can definitely pick up a little bit of that kind of tofu-y element out of this beer. There's some nice kind of white bready, wheaty qualities in there. The wheat does have a little bit of bite to it. That reminds me of the kind of Trillium beers over in America. I've always told you these different New England breweries over there, the Alchemist, the Alchemist. I've not tried any from Hill Farmstead, right enough. You've got Treehouse and Trillium. The Treehouse beers are very smooth and light and drinkable, but you've also got the Trillium beers, which are a little bit more bitey and wheaty. And the aroma of this one, in terms of that, really reminds me more of Trillium rather than anything else. But yeah, some nice bitey white bready wheat in there. It's got a little bit of astringency to it, some nice kind of citrusy notes coming out of it. Actually, you can smell the sort of almost tofu-y, eggy type aromas coming out of this beer. It's very smooth, it's not like a pungent egg, but there's definitely a little bit of a nutty creaminess in there. It's almost got a little bit of a kind of lactosey sweetness to it, this one, but it smells a bit different from lactose. It could be like dextrose or something like that maybe, but yeah, it's got a really interesting kind of malty quality to it, that, and as I say, there's just something about this beer that really reminds me of tofu, and it could be the power of suggestion, right enough, but that's a really interesting and unusual malt base. I mean, there's a little touch of a biscuity sweetness to the beer as well, but overall it really is quite unusual, that I have to say. So take a bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this beer if you do get the chance, because the malty and adjuncty side of things is pretty unusual actually. I've never smelt a New England IPA that's got a base quite like that on it. In terms of the green side of the hops, I would say that this one is quite a floral kind of, I would definitely say that this one is quite a sort of floral, aromatic smelling beer. It's definitely got a little bit of a kind of floral spice to it. There's a little bit of grassiness in there, but I would really say that this beer leans towards the floral aromatic side of things. There's a teeny little touch of earthiness in there as well. I'm not sure exactly what hops are in this. In terms of the fruitiness, it really comes across as quite sort of passion fruity. A little bit of mango or something like that, but to me it's quite a strong, pungenty passion fruit. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if it's maybe Galaxy that's in this one, Galaxy hop from Australia. That's quite popular with the American and the with the Swedish breweries at the moment actually. Galaxy is a very, very popular hop in Europe just now. But there's something about this just really reminds me of Galaxy. I don't think, with passion fruit, it could be a few things. It could be like Idaho 7, from what I remember. It could also be Victoria's Secret, but Victoria's Secret is like the little brother of Galaxy, to be honest. I'm trying to think what else it could be. It could be Simcoe, but it's not. This beer isn't quite milky and creamy enough, I don't think, for it to be Simcoe. It's a lot more pungent, which really makes me think Galaxy. So if I was betting, I'd say that it's Galaxy or Idaho 7. It could be Eldorado, right enough. Eldorado does have a good bit of a kind of passion fruity hop. It's not quite oily enough, I think, to be one of the New Zealand ones either. It could be like Rakau or something like that. I always like playing Guess the Hops with these beers, but the aroma of that, it's really kind of a big passion fruity note. There is a little bit of a kind of sort of pineapple-y or kind of mango-y, apricot-y kind of note in there as well, but mainly for me the fruits are quite big and passion fruity. So yeah, a really interesting aroma coming off this beer. I'm quite excited to try it now, so let's have a taste of this one and see how we get on. This one is the Beer Bring Us Together New England IPA from Ise Kadoya in Ise City, Mie Prefecture here in the Kansai region of Japan, a collaboration brew with NBeer Brewery from Beijing over in mainland China. Let's get stuck into this one. Slanja, Sko, Kampai, Gambe. Yeah, that's a really interesting beer actually. It's very good. it really is very good. But some of there is, I was talking about tofu. It really does have some of that in the flavour. I'm sure, I'm sure it said on Koji's site that they were putting tofu. There was a bit of tofu or something. They were talking about tofu flavour, so I'm guessing they might have added a little bit of tofu into the brew at some point, or put it in the fermentation tank or something. But that is a really unusual beer, but it really works actually. That's a really interesting. Maybe this is going to be the next thing that comes out of Asia, tofu IPAs or tofu New England IPAs. It's crazy. But yeah, that really works actually. It really, really does. Yeah, if you get the chance to try this beer, have a go at it, because it really is one of the more kind of unusual things that I've tried recently in the New England IPA category. But again, when I know Ise Kadoya as well as I do, it's a really damn solid beer, and you wouldn't expect anything less from these guys. And NBeer, from what I gather, are really kind of up and coming. So yeah, let's try and break down the flavour of this beer then. So middle of your palate, you can feel that nice kind of white bready, wheaty quality. That blankets the middle of your tongue. It's not quite as bitey as the aroma suggests. I thought this was going to be quite a bitey, almost Trillium-like beer, this one, but it's actually a little bit more smooth along the lines of like Treehouse or something. So yeah, you get that nice kind of white bready, wheaty base. If you go more into the middle of the palate, you'll start to get a little bit of a more kind of creamy, oaty quality out of the beer, and you can definitely pick out some of the kind of tofu flavours in this beer as well. There's maybe a teeny little bit of biscuit in the centre of the palate, but the middle of your palate does almost seem very smooth and very kind of tofu-like, if that makes sense, and it's almost just a little bit sweet because of that. The kind of oaty and creamy flavours. There might be a little bit of a dextrose or dextrin or lactose. I don't think lactose, I think it's more dextrose, to be honest. It might have a little bit of one of these kind of sugars added into it to make it feel a little bit more creamy, because there is that element of creaminess, and the oats are kind of quite sweet in this one. But that's a really interesting, it really is a very interesting kind of take on the beer. It really is a very interesting thing to do to a beer actually, is to put a bit of tofu in it. So yeah. Yeah, it really is. It's very unusual actually. It does work, but you find things like this with beer all the time. The Japanese like to put soy sauce in Dunkel beers and Doppelbocks and stuff, and that really works quite well actually. In terms of the hoppy side of things then, the malt base, I would say it's really interesting, but it's not the most complex malt base that you're going to come across. But in the back corners of the palate, there's a little bit of there's a little touch of an earthy note, but as you come further forward along the side of the palate, it becomes a little touch herbal. It smoothens out a little bit, and you get some nice sort of floral aromaticity on the sides of your palate too. As you come round the front curve of the tongue, it just becomes a little bit lighter and more grassy. Then behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get that nice oily bubble, where those juicy fruity esters start to push their way out of the beer. So yeah, on the fruity side of things, if you go to the back of that kind of oily part, it does get a little bit kind of more pungent and passion fruity. In front of that, there's some nice mango-y flavours, a little bit of a kind of pineapple-y passion, yeah, a little bit of a kind of pineapple-y. There's something a little bit lighter. Is it papayas maybe? Yeah, there's as you come further forward, it definitely gets a little bit more kind of papaya and kind of pineapple-like, but really it's quite, it really is quite smooth, this one. I mean, the way the fruitiness comes out, you would think from the aroma it's going to be really pungent, but you just get a little bit of that kind of pungent quality out of it at the back of the fruity part of the tongue, but otherwise it's actually really quite smooth. But you can feel it drying out a little bit, and you might get the impression of a slightly limey character with this one going further into the aftertaste. But this is a really smooth and quite drinkable New England IPA. It's definitely one of the kind of thicker and more creamy ones that I've come across in recent times actually. So if you like the Treehouse beers from America, I think this is one that you might actually, quite enjoy. So this is a really interesting one. Those tofu flavours there are very interesting as well, and as you go further into the aftertaste with this beer, the sort of smoothness and sweetness of the tofu and those kind of dextrosy sugars, that kind of lingers there. You've also got the fruitiness lingering and just a little bit of the floral quality as well. So it's got a really nice kind of smooth but also juicy and kind of slightly dry aftertaste to it as well, just on the side of the palate. So I mean, this is a really interesting beer. This is one of the more quirky ones that I've reviewed in recent times, come to think of it. So yeah, have a go at this one for yourself if you get the chance. I quite like this actually. I wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. It would be a bit of a shame if this is only a one-off brew, because it really is quite a quirky beer. I mean, the Neko Nihiki that Ise Kadoya did, that was a very, very good New England IPA. That was a collaboration with Culmination Brewing over in Oregon in America, and I think this one, it's not far off that. It's a little bit different, but it's almost as good as that in my opinion. I think this is a really, really nice New England IPA. So hopefully they do it again, and they have done that in the past. So I hope the guys from Ise Kadoya are watching and they take my opinion with, take it into account. I'm not sure how valuable it is, but I think this is a pretty damn solid beer, and I've tried about 9 or 10 different beers now from Ise Kadoya on the channel. So a very good brewery, and definitely cool, as I said, to encounter NBeer again. I need to try a few more of their beers, but obviously they're quite hard to get a hold of. In terms of the mouthfeel then, the last little part. So I would say that this beer is quite full-bodied. Yeah, this is quite a full-bodied beer. Carbonation is very smooth. The mouthfeel overall, again, is very smooth, but it does have an element of oiliness to it, which is really interesting. In terms of the hoppy bitterness and stuff, this beer it's not very high in IBUs. I think you're talking about 25 IBUs with this beer if you're lucky. It could even be a little bit less than that. The malt base, like I said, is very smooth. There's a degree of sweetness to it, but the tofu kind of flavours that you get out of this are very, very interesting. That really just adds to the smoothness of the beer, and you've got some lovely juicy fruity qualities to it as well. There's a touch of oiliness to the fruit, but mainly it's quite a smooth, almost creamy type fruity note that you're getting off of this. But overall, as I said, this is a really interesting and very quirky beer. This is one of the quirkiest ones that I've had out of Japan so far, actually, and this is why I love the Japanese craft beer scene. They're always trying really random stuff. They're very, very experimental over here, and usually it actually turns out pretty damn well. So yeah, let's just leave it at that for this. A really quirky beer that I think you've got to try for yourself, but as a New England IPA, it is pretty damn solid, but I wouldn't expect anything less of Ise Kadoya, and definitely cool to encounter another NBeer Brewery beer, as I said earlier. So yeah, let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are, both from Ise Kadoya and from NBeer. Hopefully I can review more from NBeer at some point in the future. I do have fairly easy access to Ise Kadoya beers, so you will definitely see them on the channel over the next little while. But as I say, thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. This was the Beer Bring Us Together New England IPA, a 7% New England IPA brewed at the Ise Kadoya Brewery in Ise City in Mie Prefecture here in Kansai in Japan, in collaboration with NBeer Brewery from Beijing over in China. Until the next time, Slange just now, and I'll catch you guys soon. Make sure you check out both of these breweries, and if you can get a hold of this beer, I highly recommend you check it out. Slange, Skål, Kampai, Kampai. Cheers.